What's up? I decided to do a tiny little night stroll because I'm really going to Subway, which is on the other side of where I'm at. But I saw these buildings outside of where I'm staying and I was curious. So basically, I'm probably going to try some of these places. But just out of curiosity, I just came to walk around. What I really want to do is go to karaoke. I don't know if there's karaoke around here, but that would be delightful. You know what I love of karaoke in foreign countries is, well, foreign to me countries, is that I get a room to myself and I can sing every song and I don't have to wait in line. It's my literal favorite thing. But anyway, I'm just going to look around. I'm not going to stop in any of these places. Just wanted to take a little baby walk. That is the train that is connected to where I'm staying. And right now, I am walking to a mall that is open basically until 10 p.m. And I am going to get some Subway and look for the grocery store in here. Hi, you might want to see me. Anyway, I'm walking around at night. To be honest with you, I am in Malaysia again. Where I'm at is well lit, with the exception of that corner I was walking around just a second ago. Where I'm at is well lit. Most people are nice. I feel pretty safe, honestly. And for real, you see the sweat. It's too hot to be walking around in the daytime. So I prefer to move at night. Just saying. But anyway, getting on this mission. I'm in the mall now. I'm going to try to find where the grocery store is. I don't really want to film humans, but that's what I'm doing. This is the grocery store. Still trying to not film people, so you just get a quick look. The produce section is amazing. It is huge, and I am very excited about it. They've got furniture. These are kind of cute, actually. Or I like, the wood style. But I'm just moseying around today. Tomorrow I'm probably going to come back and actually buy stuff. But yeah, that's where I am. Giant store in the mall. Say you're in Asia without saying you're in Asia. What's up, editor? Just me here. So I did not film a transition. I didn't finish filming at the end of that night, but I ended up getting locked out of the building and then I had to find another way in. Fantastic learning experience since I like to be out at night. That's valuable information. However, I'm in an area that is a bit wealthier than the last area I was in, so that inspired me to make the next part. What's up, y'all? This is the view from the building that I'm in. Very cool. I'm on the 12th floor. Anyway, I'm heading out. Look a little crazy. That's fine. At least I look crazy out here, but I promise you I look better in real life. Anyway, I'm going to get my dinner right now, which is going to be a pizza, because I didn't feel like moving all day. Well, anyway, I always forget where the button is. Anyway, I'm about to go out and get a pizza. But meanwhile, I wanted to talk to you guys about belonging, because it's a theme that I run into a lot. And the way it shows up is very unexpected. For one, it's hard for me to be in spaces that I'm not used to being in socioeconomically. And I have had several experiences with that. I'll talk about it more later. Right now, I'm gonna go get some pizza. See you back at the cave. You hear that? That's rain. So, about belonging. I don't want to disturb the other people in my accommodation, so you'll have to hear the rain. I'm sorry. But I've run into this problem a lot in my life. Firstly, in my own family, like as a kid. I got my pizza, by the way. As a kid, my family was not a close-knit one. Like, my parents were not close themselves, so they didn't really foster any closeness between us. They did tell us to stick together because it's hard to fight 7 kids. And we weren't bullied in elementary school, but we were bullied from middle school through the end of high school. So my dad always taught us to stick together, but he just meant to be like in numbers, like walking as a crowd. He never really taught us or fostered in us actually having a close relationship to where we want to stick together. So there was that. And then honestly, we just spent a lot of time being quiet and being obedient to our parents. We didn't really get a chance to like foster connections with each other. Like, to be honest, we were more like schoolyard children, where we would like hang out with this kid one day, gang up on this kid another day. You know what I mean? It was almost like we weren't family. It was almost like we weren't siblings. But I was the odd one out. I was quiet. I wasn't interested in the same stuff as my siblings, and I usually played by myself. So I kind of felt like I didn't belong in my family initially. Part of the being quiet was I was just a different kid. Like, I had food sensitivities and quite enjoyed spending time by myself, actually. So I was used to that. I didn't feel like I belonged in my family. I was just kind of the oddball out. To be honest, I think it was just because of the lack of connection between siblings. I don't think it was intentional. I think we was just disconnected in general. So there's that. And then that feeling would carry on to later things. And I can think of 2 instances where I really felt like left out. One of them was when I was in the States and I was homeless. Nothing feels more left out than being on the street and feeling not welcomed in places. That was a feeling that I had never felt in my entire life. I felt excluded from society. Like, I felt like I wasn't welcomed anywhere. Now, I never really had the feeling of belonging, but feeling entirely excluded was kind of crazy. I remember when I was living on the street, there were restaurants and stuff, and like I would want some water, but I would feel ashamed knowing that I didn't have somewhere to live to go ask for water. Because I felt like places like restaurants and businesses and stuff like that, I felt like those are for people who had a place to live, like had money for some reason. So that was that feeling. But all of the things that I felt in my childhood, there was belonging, but there was also feeling invisible. I feel like as a kid, I wasn't necessarily acknowledged for who I am. And that came with invisibility. Like, in our household, the 7 of us had to do what our parents said, stay out of the way otherwise. So a lot of the time it did feel like we were invisible. Being homeless, that on steroids. No one wants to see you. No one wants you around. You know what I mean? Luckily, I was in a place in New Orleans where they had fantastic infrastructure. You were always fed. Churches fed you. People fed you. People like gave out stuff on holidays. Like, the homeless, I felt like, were not forgotten, especially with food in New Orleans. Also, the area I was in, there was a public library. The library let you stay in there all day as long as you were being civil. There was also several blocks away, not even several, I want to say maybe 3 blocks away, there was a place where you could get lunch. There was a place where you could shower, where you could get your laundry done. So I could still shower. I could still wear clean clothes. I could still smell fresh. I was still doing my hair, so I looked the part of a person who was housed. You know what I mean? The only thing that made me telltale homeless was I wore one outfit and I washed it frequently because I had a backpack and I didn't put a single thing in that backpack that I didn't absolutely need, because I would need to take that backpack everywhere and I needed the load to be very, very light. Also, in that library, they instituted a rule where if your bag was too big, you couldn't come into the library. And as you may not know, when you're homeless, whatever you have is the only thing you have in the world. So people would stay outside with their bags because you already don't have anything. You know what I mean? And what you do have is super valuable to you. So, yeah. I had a backpack. It had plastic in it to keep my stuff dry or to keep me dry if I had to lay on a wet ground. I had a blanket. I had toiletries. That's it. You know what I mean? But I felt super like I didn't belong. I felt more than not belonging. I felt unwelcomed. And that was a very, being the color I am and being from the United States, you would think I would have felt that a lot more, but I didn't. I was oblivious to it for my entire life, to be honest. I just ignored it. Like, if it existed, it just wasn't on my radar. But anyway, yeah. That's exclusion that I do not wish on anybody. It was the shame too. It is shame, like, am I welcomed here if I can't buy anything? You know what I mean? Like, that's a crazy feeling, especially knowing that you can't buy anything. So there was that. I will say, since the homeless is such a normal part of New Orleans culture, the people just accepted that the homeless people were there. I think if it was going to be anywhere in the United States, and I was homeless during the winter as well, if it was going to be anywhere in the United States, I think I landed in the softest place to be homeless. So, though I'm not grateful to say that I have been homeless, I am grateful that it happened the way that it did, that I stayed relatively safe, even though I was super exposed. You know what I mean? And I made it through. And I could still do my hair and take showers and clean my clothes to boot, which I did not expect. In the city that I'm from, in Missouri, you can't find that. If you are not in a shelter, you are on the street, and there is no possibility of all the stuff I just said. So there you go. So I felt like I didn't belong to, like, society at that point. And then there was this one other incident. So way back in the day, I used to be a tarot reader. That was before the homelessness, and this was after childhood, obviously. And this one was kind of positive, though. I booked an event to read tarot for, and it happened to be in an upper crust part of the city I'm from. There was a husband and wife restaurant owners, and they had like this party going on, and they had a tarot reader for this party. Wow. And I felt super out of place. I was cute, had on a long shirt, some leggings, and like some nice shoes. My hair was coiffed, you know what I mean? So I was looking presentable. However, I was not on the same economic level as these people. I was not on the same education level as these people. So I felt out of place, but it was a good thing. Like, at the time, I felt like, okay, I might be doing something totally different, but I'm still worthy of being in the room with these people. And then also on top of that, they might be good at where they're at, but I'm good at this. You know what I mean? So this socioeconomic stuff. And then for more background, I was raised poor. So isn't it funny that money is almost laced through all of this? But anyway, I did my thing. Like, I showed up. I was uncomfortable at first because I had never been in a restaurant that nice. And I had never been around people that posh, to use English slang. And I was a little bit nervous. I was like, this isn't a place I would normally be welcome. This is not a place I would normally be invited. But since I was the entertainment, I was invited. And these people were coming to me for my particular expertise. And they were satisfied. Like, I think I read everybody except the owners themselves. Like, I read some of the staff, and then I read their guests, and everyone was very positive and welcoming and warm, actually, which I didn't expect. It's like one of those things where you think money sets people apart, like they're not even the same kind of human as you sometimes. But nope, we're all people. We're all people. But it's easy to feel super separate, especially in American society where you literally physically are super separate. I guess that the same goes for the rest of the world too. There's always poor next to rich. There's always that. But anyway, I really enjoyed that event. Once I started to cook, I was good. Like, I didn't feel out of place at all. I felt empowered because here are these people who have it together who still need guidance. You know what I mean? So it was an honor to give it. I really enjoyed it. People enjoyed me, and it was a good time. So that's it. Right now, what inspired this is that a little bit of that is coming up now. I'm in Malaysia again. I was in an area before, and I think the area I was in before is different, has a different demographic than this area. I'm in a high-rise building on the 12th floor with a view, you know what I mean? So I felt the kind of way about that. It was like, especially, being in transition right now, I'm like, the elevators require a key card, etc., and I'm just like, would I be welcomed here under normal circumstances? You know what I mean? Like, but that's an American mentality. What I've noticed here in Malaysia is that people are chilling. Like, nobody is like, I've had people like look at me a couple of times, but that's because I've seen one other black person the whole time I've been here, and this is about to be month 3. So it's just not common to see this around here. I'm not African. I just wanted to say that because in Malaysia, in my experience so far, people see black, they think Africa, which, respect, I get that. But American African and black African look different to me, but that's because I am black. So I know the difference, but it's the same as anything that you're outside of. It's hard to know about the nuance. But anyway, yeah. And the lady at my last Airbnb, the cleaning lady, she was like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "The United States." But when she was speaking in Malay to the owner, she kept saying, "African, African." I'm like, girl, no. The first time I was in Malaysia, there was a taxi driver. He was like, "Where are you from? Nigeria?" I was like, no. From the United States. Black American. I am not African. Thank you very much. Just rant. Just need to get that out there. And I don't see anything wrong with that, but I just, anything wrong with, Africa and stuff like that, but I just have no frame of reference from that because that's not where I'm from. It's not my nationality. Anywho, I was thinking that lately. Would I be welcomed here if, you know what I mean? But things are going all right so far. I'm like, I have money, I'm spending it. You know what I mean? But yeah. Anyway, it was on my mind today, so I thought I'd share it with you. But thank you for watching this whole thing. Like, comment, subscribe. I have a random Kpop Journey video that you can watch on my Patreon, which will be linked below. All you have to do is join for $1 if you're interested in that. We got merch down there in the description too. Take a look around if you want. And I'll see you in the next one.